Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the application support webinar for the Freight Innovation Fund Accelerator 3. My name is Andrea, and I'm the Accelerator Program Manager of the Freight Innovation Fund. Just to let you know, we are recording this session, and we will share the video and presentation with you in a few days in case you would like to rewatch it or share it with any SME who may be interested in the program. Also, you can always email me or email the Freight Innovation Fund team, and we will be happy to support you with your application. Please feel free to use the Q&A button and ask any questions throughout the presentation that we will get to those at the end. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's quickly review the agenda for today. So our program funder, the Department for Transport, will provide an overview of the future freight plan and expectations for this third accelerator. Then our technical lead, Alistair Ritchie, will introduce the Freight Innovation Fund program and explain the difference between the accelerator and the cluster community. I will follow Alistair, providing an overview of the third accelerator program. And then my colleague, Alexandra, from the service design team will explain the accelerator program challenges for this round. I will finalize the presentation explaining the selection process and how to apply to the program. And then we will have our Q&A section at the end. Next slide, please. Okay, now I'm going to hand over to David Elvey, Head of the Future of Freight Strategy at the Department for Transport.
Thank you, Andrea. Good morning, everybody. So yes, my name is David Elvey. I lead a program within the Department for Transport called the Future of Freight, of which the Freight Innovation Fund is a part. I know you're all really here to understand more detail about the program, how you apply and how you can get your hands on some funding to help you develop your technologies. But my section is brief. And it's really there to give you a little bit of background to sort of understand the kind of backdrop, the political backdrop to this program. So if we go on to the next slide, please, Andrea. Thank you. So this program really started sort of 5 years ago now. I think traditionally, government has largely sat back from freight. We've kind of allowed it to get on with its business. And it's done so extremely successfully, and we haven't really felt the need to intervene or indeed to take a huge amount of interest beyond some regulation of externalities, so environment, safety, and so on. But the National Infrastructure Commission sent us a report that told us that probably wasn't quite good enough. We needed to think about freight as a multimodal system, not as a series of individual modes. And more generally, we needed to stop treating it as a Cinderella policy and to raise its status, both within government, but also within wider society. And if I'm honest, we were helped a little bit by circumstance. Brexit sort of made people, I think, a little bit more aware of some of the challenges of international and global freight distribution. Clearly, we had COVID, and that caused a number of issues across the freight system, at ports, within the road freight networks. And then, of course, there was a huge amount of coverage sort of 18 months, 2 years ago, when a very, very large container ship went sideways in the Suez Canal and cost the global economy, as it says there, upwards of $400 million an hour in a lost trade. So we developed internally and in collaboration with industry a plan called the Future of Freight, which broadly had sort of four core objectives set for the freight sector, and one sort of more social objective. So we want it to be cost efficient, reliable, resilient, and environmentally sustainable. And those are the sort of objectives that underpin this program. And then we want it to be more valued by society. This is something I think that would bring benefit both to the sector, to you as innovators, and actually I think probably to the wider country as a whole. Right, next slide, please, Andrea. So this slide, on the right-hand side, you can kind of see the 5 chapters of the Future of Freight plan. So we had one chapter sort of focused on net zero, another one focused on the infrastructure of freight, one on the planning system, and one on the skills that people need to make the sector thrive. This Freight Innovation Fund sits under our data and technology chapter. And just sort of kind of a few key sort of characteristics of it. First one, it's a considerable amount of money actually for this kind of investment. £7 million over 3 years, which has enabled us to develop a more sophisticated programme, perhaps, than we would do if we were looking for ad hoc funding on an annual basis. And it's really there to sort of answer a challenge that we identified in the future of freight. So, and this kind of builds it up a top-down and a bottom-up kind of challenge. So the top-down challenge is that the freight sector isn't particularly aware of some of the solutions that innovators can offer to them. And I think innovators have a limited awareness of exactly what the sector needs, and probably equally importantly, how the sector acquires innovation and builds it into their operations. So the goal that we set for this program is around very much a focus on the commercialization of late-stage innovative solutions. So I emphasize the commercialization. We want to sort of help use this program not only to trial technologies, but to help innovators sort of navigate one of the valleys of death, which is between a demonstrated and viable technology and its commercial application, or the acquisition of additional investment funds to fuel its development. Our goal is also aligned to sort of the wider priorities set out in the future of freight, as well as wider government priorities. So we've listed a few there. And I think we will get much more detail on this from other speakers, but we're looking at innovations from TRL level 5+. And we are pleased that actually a number of alumni from the Transport Research and Innovation Grants, the TRIG program, which I'm sure somebody listening to this webinar has already participated in, have been successful in kind of moving along those TRL levels. Next slide, please, Andrea. And it's worth doing it. I'm sure there's a much larger number that's going to appear probably throughout this presentation, but I'm going to say it first. We had, I think I'm going to say, 9 SMEs successfully in our first cohort. So to remind you, we're now talking about the third cohort. And I think to date, the public number that we quote is that those 9 SMEs have collectively raised an additional £97 million in capital. And a number of them have also successfully built commercial relationships. So essentially, they're getting cash flow. So this is a very worthwhile program to be involved in. And that takes me to my final slide, please, Andrea. Okay, so this picture on the right is not the best picture in the world, but hidden away in that is the current sponsoring minister in the Department for Transport, and a large number of both the CPC team and the successful cohort for year 2. But I've put this photo in this slide deck to kind of illustrate that this program has a lot of support. Since it started, I think we're on our 3rd minister, and every single one of them, once they found out about this program, has been very insistent about participation in it. Pays quite close attention to its successes and its challenges. So you're getting involved in something that not only has some money attached to it, but also has a lot of buy-in. So as it says there, please apply. I'm looking forward to seeing the sort of new solutions. I get involved in the commercial due diligence interviews, and it's always fascinating to understand the cleverness, frankly, of the technologies that many of you will be developing. And frankly, I want everybody to succeed. And the purpose of this fund and the purpose of the Accelerator program is to identify some of the best solutions that are out there, and to provide them with a little bit of a kickstart to help them move along the pathway to successful commercialization. So please listen to the rest of the presentation. Take your notes, please apply. And I think my task now is to hand over to Alistair Ritchie, who's going to provide a bit more detail.
Thank you, David. Really great to have Department of Transport on board. Their enthusiasm for this program is really kind of a big part in what makes it a success. So my name's Alistair. I'm Head of SME Development at Connected Places Catapult, and I am the CPC lead here on the program. Next slide, please. So just to introduce first off who we are. So Connected Places Catapult is part of the Catapult network of 9 technology and innovation centres. We, as a network, are focused on the technologies that the UK wants to be successful in the future. So, for example, we have the High Value Manufacturing Catapult, which focuses on manufacturing and engineering solutions that we want to be part of. We have the Medical Research Catapult, which focuses on vaccine development. We have Offshore, which focuses, as the name suggests, on technologies such as wind farms off our coasts. As Connected Places Catapult, what we are focused on is being the UK's innovation accelerator for transport, smart cities, and place leadership. Now, the place leadership bit is really important because there's no point in having transport smart cities unless that technology is going into places where people can use them. So we do work a lot with local authorities and regional authorities on their innovation strategies to make sure that they can adopt technology in the future. Next slide, please. So the Freight Innovation Fund, as David says, we are very lucky to have this programme, and we have £7 million to work on. This programme is primarily about the third cohort of the Accelerator. We are running 3 accelerators over the course of the 3-year programme, which will enable 30 SMEs in total to benefit from the funding that comes with that. But what a really important part of the programme is the cluster, which runs alongside it. This actually marks a bit of a shift change in the way programmes work, because typically you join an accelerator, you get to the end of it, and then you wonder what's next. Within this programme, because we have the cluster running alongside it, we're always supporting you throughout that process, and we're able to work with you throughout the entire 3-year programme, and we use the cluster as a launch pad to go into each next accelerator. So I would expect that many of you are already members of the cluster, and actually part of that engagement is why you're now looking at the accelerator as the next stage of your development. Next slide, please. So the cluster, we began it in May of last year, and we weren't quite sure how many people we were going to get engaged, because, you know, although freight is a big sector, it's not, we didn't know how much engagement we would get. But actually we've been incredibly lucky, because we now have 328 organizations across all TRL levels that are involved. And although the accelerator particularly focuses on technologies that are TRL level 5+, and TRL, by the way, is technology readiness level, indicates your readiness in terms of technology to bring it to market. So earlier stages are the blue skies ideas, and later stages are, you know, you're actually bringing products and services to market. At TRL level 5, what we're looking at is technologies that we have proven that work in theory, but actually you need to be able to engage with us and with partners to be able to actually trial them. But the cluster supports across the entire piece, so we're working with earlier stage people in order to help them move through those technology readiness levels, and so in the future that you might be able to join an accelerator. Within the cluster, we next slide, please. I think probably yes. So what do we do within the cluster? So we are looking to engage with the entire ecosystem to provide leadership to the guidance to the sector so that it can help to develop. We are looking to upskill people so that they can develop their products and services, and hopefully make your businesses into successes for the future, but also to matchmake. So to introduce you to investors, potential partners, potential collaborators, people who can form your network for the future that will enable you to grow and be successful. And we are looking at delivering tangible outputs. It's not a talking shop. It is somewhere that actually we're looking to build real solutions and real assets for the future for the UK. Next slide, please. And so, I mean, really, this program is about the Accelerator. So I'd like to now hand over to Andrea, who's going to give you all the details of what's exciting and coming up.
Thank you, Alistair. Next slide, please. Okay, well, so I just wanted to start sharing some impact numbers from our first cohort, which we successfully completed last year. So we received a total of 65 applications, and from these, we carefully selected 9 SMEs that conducted trials with our program partners. We made around 41 investor introductions, and combined with the investment support provided in the program, this has resulted in 97 million raised to date. It's the number that David just shared, which is really amazing considering that in the first cohort, we invested 1.2 million in the trials. Then we also facilitated more than 60 business introductions, some of which have led to commercial contracts, and the impact of our program has also extended to job creation with the establishment of 22 new job positions across diverse regions of the UK, including employment opportunities in rural areas. Well, here also you can see a picture of our first cohort and the logos of the partners that supported the SMEs. Next slide, please. Okay, the second cohort. We are currently delivering this second cohort. We started in March of this year, and the idea is to conclude in August. So on this slide, you will find the names of our 10 successful SMEs and the logos of our program partners. So we will be sharing this presentation, and you will be able to read the names in detail. Next slide, please. Okay, in terms of the third open call, we launched this 2 weeks ago on May 1st, and the application deadline is 9th of June. In this cohort, we are looking to select up to 12 SMEs with a technology readiness level 5 or above. So this means companies with a technology validated in an operational environment and with at least a large-scale prototype. You can find the list of the TRL levels and the descriptions on the application form. Each successful SME will have the opportunity to access up to 150K in funding to conduct the trial with the industry partners, and the funding amount to be provided will be based on the proposals that we received during the application process. The program will last 6 months, and the SMEs will have the opportunity to test their solutions in real-world environments, and they will have access to testbed locations that our program partners will provide. Also, to be eligible to apply for the program, SMEs must address one of the challenges that my colleague Alexandra will explain more in details in a bit. Next slide, please. Okay, in terms of funding, DFT will provide up to 150K to each successful SME. And again, the specific amount will be determined based on the trial proposal submitted by the SME. Also, to foster a collaborative and mutually beneficial partnership, SMEs are expected to contribute 30% of the total project cost as matching funds. So this was designed to be in kind. So it could include, for example, an equipment that you already possess and intend to use to the trial, or perhaps a training required for your employees as part of the testing process. But well, you can find a detailed list of the eligible costs and further information in the funding section that we have on our website. So you can see the video in my right side. There is a funding section with the more info button. So if you press that, you will be able to read more about it. Also, in terms of the payment structure, it will be 40% upfront when the program starts, 20% upon completion of the trial plan, and 40% at the end upon completion of the trial and submission of the final report. Then we have here an example of how the funds should look like. So for example, if you are requesting 100K, if the total cost of your trials are 100K, you should be requesting 70K to the program, and you should be putting 30K as match funding. So you will be able to specify the details in the cost breakdown section that we have in the application form. An important note is that for this year, the funding will not constitute a grant. We will use a pre-commercial setup. Therefore, the funding will not be subject to the minimal financial assistance. Next slide, please. Okay, we have 9 industry partners this year that will support and provide access to testing facilities to the SMEs. So the program partners are Freightliner, DHL, Stobart, Port of Dover, Port of Tilbury, Welsh Transport Group, Wincanton Maritime Transport, and DP World UK. We have very exciting organizations joining us. And to gain a deeper understanding of our partners and their roles within the Accelerator, you will find a detailed partner profile on our website highlighting the specific challenges they are keen on, the facilities and resources available from their side, and their motivations for participating in the program. So please, I will recommend you to download the partner profile before completing your application so you can customize your trial plan based on that. And then, well, also SMEs have 2 options to apply to the program. So the first one is with a trial proposal looking for a match with one of our program partners, or they can also apply with their own trial partner, which can be a freight organization that you are already in discussion with, and you can apply together to the program. If you select the second option, we will ask you for more information about your partner in the application, evidence of the relationship that you have with them, and the partner have to attend to the selection interviews. Next slide, please. Okay, SME offering. In addition to offering financial support to conduct the trials and the chance to test your product, our commitment extends to support our cohort in scaling their businesses by providing a customized business support. So what we do is that at the beginning of the program, we run one-to-one sessions to explore the specific needs and identify the support and business development opportunities that Connected Places Catapult can provide to each SMEs. So this includes marketing and investment support with experienced coaches, where you will have the opportunity to review your company strategy or challenges in each area, and then review that with the coaches in one-on-one sessions with them. This also includes introductions to potential customers and any other support opportunities that we identify from Connected Places Catapult. Also, we provide trial support to all the SMEs to help them to design and implement the trial and make sure that we are delivering everything on time. And we will culminate the program with a demonstration day. This is a celebratory event where SMEs will be able to showcase their solutions and demonstrate everything that they have achieved during the program to key stakeholders as investors, potential clients, academia, government, and any other relevant actors that could come to this event. And last but not least, all our SMEs will have a membership to the Freight Innovation Cluster and all the activities that the cluster is organizing in the rest of the year. I think that most of the SMEs that are here watching at this webinar probably are part of the cluster, but if you're not, this is an opportunity to join to the community. Next slide, please. Okay, well, now I'm going to hand over to Alexandra Crema, who is going to explain you a bit more about the challenges.
Thank you, Andrea. I'm Alexandra. I'm a service designer in the Human Connected Design team, and I've been leading the research to define the challenges for this year. Next slide, please. So we haven't changed our strategic direction. It's been the same since last year, but we have a slightly different briefing for year 3 that I'll explain later. So we're still looking at intermodality. So intermodality must be at the core of all proposed challenges for this year. And we're looking at scalable offerings at TRL level 5 or more, potentially applicable across the nation. We're still taking into consideration the future of freight plans, so the 5 vision statements, as well as the 4 national objectives. So the innovation should be cost efficient, resilient, reliable, environmentally sustainable, and valued by society. And according to the 4 national objectives, we're looking at leveling up, strengthening the union, supply chain resilience, and increasing our global impact. Next slide, please. So for this year, we really want to, so last year we were focusing on physical and tangible innovations and solutions. And this year we really want to challenge cross-sector innovation and more collaboration across organizations in the freight sector. So exploring large-scale sustainability, net zero, and intermodality in freight means that we are leading the sector towards a broadly collaborative approach between organizations and operators. So the promotion of the adoption of cross-sectors innovations and technologies from other industries, so not just only from the freight sector, can promote positive change and help reach carbon emissions reduction goals. Next slide, please. I'm going to talk about my research and methodology for this year, and then I'm going to introduce the challenges. Next slide, please. So we validated our research and engagement approach from last year. So you'll notice that it's been actually quite similar, because we found that the approach that we had last year was actually quite successful. We analyzed the feedback and research from the previous 2 years, as well as our findings, learning, and insights. We had quite a lot of conversations internally with our ecosystem directors, as well as our freight experts. And we have almost, I believe, almost 20 interviews with external industry experts and stakeholders from maritime, air, road, rail freight, as well as the logistics sector. We then framed various topic areas, and based off of them, we run an industry workshop with 16 members of the freight innovation cluster to validate the challenge areas, and also map the environmental, social, and economic aspects of them. And then lastly, from those topic areas, we started framing the challenges, and in particular, we co-designed the statements with our partners to ensure that the challenges also align and suit their needs and goals. Next slide, please. I'm now going to introduce the challenges for year 3, and in particular, those challenges you'll notice they're framed quite similar to last year. For each of those challenges, we have a description, so actually a challenge, a statement, a description for you to better understand the context of those areas, and also some examples. Those examples are coming from our conversations during the interviews with our stakeholders and our partners, our research, but they're not extensive. So we're not only looking for those examples of those solutions, but all solutions that are applied to the challenges. They're just good examples for you to better understand what we're looking at. So this year we have 4 challenges. One is about optimization of journeys. One is about net zero and data. One focuses on inland waterways and its intermodal connections. And we also have an open challenge. Next slide, please. So the first challenge is again about optimization of journeys, and in particular with this one, we're looking at innovations and technologies that enable freight organizations to optimize and maximize the use of existing journeys by empowering cross-sector partnership and collaboration. Next slide, please. So optimization of journeys is definitely something that we have partially addressed in the previous 2 years. But we wanted to have a whole challenge about this area, as I believe is the one challenge that everyone has always mentioned during interviews, and it's the one topic that's came out the most during our research. So 50 to 75% of containers travel back empty to their original countries, and HGVs complete around 30% of their runnings with no freight in them. And this is one of the industry biggest challenges regarding the utilization of unutilized space in existing journeys. So maximizing the utilization of that empty space will result in a significant reduction of delivery vehicles across all transport modes, and therefore a greater reduction of carbon emissions, traffic and congestion. Moreover, this will not only result in a reduction of logistic costs and maximum efficiency for the sector, but it would also provide the basis for improved and advanced collaboration across the wider sector and various organizations through a better use and sharing of data and journeys. Some examples of solutions are software as a service solutions to enable data sharing and collaboration across organizations, route optimization and planning softwares to maximize use of the existing journeys, forecasting tools and AI, and this is to predetermine the demand and supply, and also better understanding journey destinations and spaces available. Data sharing platforms, operational innovation, so new physical and operational solutions for loading and unloading of empty containers, and systemic innovation. And with systemic innovation, we mean systemic approaches and collaborative solutions to maximize, again, the freight space across operators. Next slide, please. The second challenge is all about net zero and data. So we're looking at advanced solutions that lead the way towards net zero, enable accurate and consistent carbon calculations, and encourage multi-stakeholder freight climate action. Next slide, please. So actually net zero is definitely probably the biggest driver of change among the freight sector. And in order to achieve that goal, we need the sector to scale the implementation of various technologies such as electric vehicles, charging infrastructure, and planet-centric solutions. But we also really need to deeply understand its carbon footprint, where it's coming from, and share that data. So life cycle assessment is very complex and it's quite difficult from time to time. And this is also due to the fact that we have so many different methodologies for carbon accounting that make the calculation of the true emissions quite difficult. So scope 1 and 2, we find the scope 1 and 2 emissions are frequently assessed, but that data is oftentimes not shareable it's not shared currently between organizations, but is also not compatible due to the various different carbon accounting methodologies. And then scope 3, which is oftentimes where the majority of emissions come from, is not truly assessed and is quite difficult to calculate. So we believe that across collaboration between organizations, we can actually define that scope 3 and have a better understanding of where emissions come from, so that we can have and we can take action based off of true data. Some of the examples in this area are around data sharing platforms, so innovation that enable clients and partners to collaborate through shared net zero and carbon footprint goals, AI and sensors, so that we might be able to capture carbon emissions more accurately and on demand or in real time even. Again, software as a service, carbon platforms, so software as a service, carbon accounting methods and platforms to enable data-based actions and accurate carbon reporting. New carbon accounting methods or carbon accounting methods would allow for a better, for a more consistent carbon calculations across organizations. E-mobility as well, and potentially also carbon as a currency solution. So for this particular example, we were asking how can we use carbon as a currency to allow partners to pay their journeys according to their carbon emissions. Next slide, please. The third challenge is all about inland waterways, as this is probably the only freight modes that we didn't have a chance to really look into in the past couple of years. So the third challenge says unlocking the potential of river and canal freight through the systemic improvement of inland waterways, logistics, vessels, and infrastructure to decarbonize urban deliveries. Next slide, please. So waterborne freight has the lowest carbon emissions per kilometre and unit transported compared to all of the other transport modes. And because of that, it's set to be probably the next growing trend in the upcoming years. Operating canals in the UK means facing quite a lot of challenges around all the infrastructures, lack of wolves in urban areas, the need to avoid further environmental impacts on wildlife as the sector grows, and also the need to develop solutions for efficient loading and unloading of freight along canals and on water. But at the same time, if we can actually achieve and overcome the challenges, growing this sector has the true potential of substantially reduce carbon emissions, help meet net zero goals, and also lowering freight-related traffic on roads and urban areas. And to develop new planet-centric waterways logistics, the sector also needs systemic change and new technologies to support the sustainable development of canal freight across the country. Some of the examples are around planet-centered design, so new systemic solutions to develop the sector with no further impact to wildlife and the environment. Tidal waterways solutions, so any methods and technologies that can overcome all the difficulties that come from loading and unloading barges and boats when the tide is low, also especially around the Thames area. Utilizing water space, so utilizing new technologies and innovative infrastructure that will allow the use of water space instead of land for the loading and unloading of canal freight, so that we can overcome the challenges that come from the lack of wharves, especially in urban areas. Pop-up hubs to create movable hubs along canals, and also all the technologies around electric boats, charging infrastructure, and autonomous vehicles, so that we can increase the number of boats on canals sustainably, as well as the speed and efficiency. Next slide, please. And lastly, we have an open challenge, so innovations that aim at decarbonising and improving the intermodal connections between freight transport modes. This is an open challenge again, and it comes with a few extra selection criteria, because obviously it's very broad, and we want to make sure that we select the best solutions in this case. Next slide, please. So to kind of conclude the Freight Innovation Fund program, the third year of the program, we want to launch this open challenge for all innovations, and this is particularly targeted to all those SMEs who can apply because they don't necessarily respond or address the other three challenges, who believe that their innovations can contribute to, in particular, a sustainable, regenerative, and smoother intermodal connection between freight transport modes. So the Open Challenge will also allow us to better understand what innovations are and new technologies are on the market, so that we can potentially so that those innovations and those applications can also potentially help us shape and structure other challenges and trials that we might launch in the future, and also the opportunity to accelerate those innovations that again can apply because they can't really fit into the other three challenges. Next slide, please. So because of the Open Challenge, we have a few additional criteria that we didn't necessarily have in the past couple of years. So SMEs can only apply to one of the 4 challenges, and we only be scored against that particular challenge they applied. Once the application is submitted, you can no longer be moved, or you're no longer allowed to be moved or changed to a different challenge. And if the innovation that you applied with doesn't fit or doesn't address the challenge that you applied for, you will be considered unsuccessful. For the Open Challenge, so SMEs should only apply to the Open Challenge again if they don't fit into any of the other challenges, and if they apply to the Open Challenge where they are in fact addressing challenge 1, 2, or 3, they will be considered unsuccessful. Hope everything's clear, and back to you, Andrea.
Great, thank you, Ale. Next slide, please. Okay, how to apply? Well, the first thing that you need to know is that applications will close on June 9. And we encourage you to submit your application before this date. So in case that you have any questions, we can actually assist you. Also here you can find the eligibility criteria, which are also available on the website. So please ensure that you meet these criteria before proceeding with your application to the program. So basically, well, you have to be an SME, you must be. You must address one of the program challenges, as Alexandra mentioned. You must have a TRL 5 or above. You must have a UK registered company and have operations in the UK. We won't be able to proceed with those SMEs that are not registered in the UK. And you must be willing to test in a real world environment, and obviously having commitment to engage with the program and get the most out of it. So we have a how to apply section on the website where you can find some supporting documents that we strongly recommend you to review before applying. So these documents includes the application guidance, where you can see like all the specific details for each section of the application form. Then we have the terms and conditions of the program, the partners' profiles. This is the document that I mentioned before, where you can see all the details of the partners. And we have a detailed document providing more information about the challenges. So as you can see on our website, we have provided like a condensed version of the challenges, but you can actually access to the full explanation on this document. In terms of the application form, this is structured into 2 sections. So the first section delves into your company and the innovative aspects of your solution. And the second section is focused on your trial proposal, where you have to include a plan, a timeline, impact metrics, trial budget, and more things that we ask in the application form. So the trial proposal is key for us to understand the feasibility of the trial with our program partners. So please try to use a simple language that everyone can understand, even those that don't have a technical background. Next slide, please. Okay, well, the timeline. As you know, we launched 2 weeks ago on May 1st. And again, the deadline is June 9. From Connected Places Catapult, we will review all the applications, score them, and shortlist up to 24 SMEs that will be contacted between July 1st and July 3rd. If you are shortlisted, we will share with you all the details of the selection process that basically consists into interviews. So the first one is the technical and the business due diligence. This is a 30-minute meeting with technical and industry experts from Connected Places Catapult. This interview will be around the innovation of the technology, the feasibility and details of the trial, the impact it could have, and the sustainability. So we will try to analyze your proposal from a technical point of view. So I recommend you to bring someone with technical expertise to this interview. And those interviews will take place between the 8th and the 11th of July. If the SME progress from this stage, they have to attend to a commercial interview where they will be assessed by our program partners and DFT. This is again a 30-minute meeting where you will have 10 minutes to make your presentation and then 20 minutes for questions. This interview will be focused on the business model, how you can work with the partners, what benefits you can bring to the sector, etc. So this interview will take place between the 15th and the 25th of July. And the idea is to have our cohort selected on the 6th of August. If you are shortlisted, I'll send you an individual invitation with all the details to join both sessions, and they will be handled virtually. And well, the accelerator is set to kick off on the 28th of August with our welcome date at our London office. This is an in-person event, and it's designed to onboard the SMEs and the partners, providing an overview of the program structure, expectations, and other key details that the SMEs and partners need to know. And as I mentioned before, the program will last 6 months. So the first 2 months will be dedicated to the trial design with your partners, and then the other 4 months will be for the trial live. The demo day will be in March 2025, and well, the date is to be confirmed. Next slide, please. And okay, the scoring criteria. Actually, I saw we had a question about the scoring criteria. Here we have it. So we have 6 criteria. Here you can see the weight that will carry each of them. So the first one is the solution. Here we want to understand if the product is innovative with a clear, unique selling proposition. Also, we want to understand the development stage of the solution, the maturity. Then the second criteria is the testbed proposal. So once again, the use case must address one of our program challenges. We want to see a clear description of the trial, a timeline, the cost breakdown, and what you are expecting to achieve during the trial, and how you're going to engage with the partners. So please make sure to be concise, but provide as many details as necessary. And again, please try to use a simple language that everyone can understand. The third criteria is the testbed feasibility. We want to understand if this proposal is actually feasible within the program timeframe that we have, the level of resources, and the budget and maturity of the solution. In terms of impact, we will evaluate the short and the long-term impact of the trial in the sector and the benefits of adopting this technology. Team, we are looking for applicants to demonstrate that their team has the necessary skills, knowledge, and background to deliver. So rather than just listing out the team members' names in the application, I would recommend you to tell us a bit more about who the team members are and what they bring to the table. And finally, traction. Here we want to know if the product satisfies the market, if you already have any traction, and if you have a sustainable growth plan. So for those who don't have established client yet, we recommend you to highlight your growth plan if you are in discussion with potential clients, and any notable awards or grants that you have secured. Next slide, please. Yeah, okay, this is all. So now we can start with our Q&A section. So I will ask our panelists to please turn on your cameras so we can answer the questions. And just to let you know, if you scan this QR code here, you can go directly to our website to apply, or if you want to email us, here you have our email address. So, okay, we have a lot of questions. Perfect. Okay, I saw that Kritika, who is our project manager, she already answered some of the questions. So I'm going to read them very quick and add like anything that could be missing or not. Okay, so the first question is there a specific allocation percentage for software funding opportunities in comparison to funding for innovative products? So as Kritika mentioned, there is no like a specific allocation. We welcome applications from software companies or hardware. So it's exactly the same for everyone. You just have to meet the selection criteria. The next question is, are CTS software providers eligible for this fund? Again, it's the same if you meet the selection criteria that we have on our website, and if you are TRL5 and you address one of the challenges, you could apply to the program without any problem. I have a solution that is TRL 8, 9, but in a different sector. Is that relevant to this call? Yeah, you could apply. Actually, we have had similar cases in our previous cohorts. So yeah, if you are TRL 5 and you meet the criteria, you can apply. There is no problem. And it's very interesting to see how we can use technologies from other sectors into the freight sector. So yeah, all those applications are also welcome. Is it possible to partner with more than one of the project partners if our trial could be used by multiple ones? Can we have a scalable cost if we have more than one partner? Yeah, you can apply with more than one partner. That's okay. You can have a consortium of organizations, but you will access only to 150. It doesn't mean that you're going to get 150 per each partner that you are applying with. If any of the panelists would like to add something, please feel free to do it. Okay, the next one, if we bring our own partner, can any benefit in kind from them count towards our match funding? Yeah, we don't have any issues with that. We have seen that in the past, so that should be fine. We just need to have like understand the specifics about it. So if you can put that information in the application, that will be great. So in the cost breakdown that we have on the website, there is a comment section where you can explain this. Okay, what would be the scoring criteria? I think I already answered that in my last slide. If we use your industry partner, do we specify which one or will you match? Yeah, you specify what partner you would like to work with. You can select up to 3 partners, if I'm not wrong, in the application form. But when we are also doing the assessment of the applications, if we see there is a technology that one of our partners is interested and maybe you didn't select them, we give this partner the opportunity to join to the interview just to understand if they have something that could be valuable for the SME to offer. Can university be a partner of this fund? If the university has trial facilities, yep, they could be a partner of an SME. That's okay. Can you apply to be matched with more than 1 industry partners? Yeah, you can select up to 3 partners in the application. And again, you will receive only 150. Doesn't mean you get 150 per partner. The next question, I think this one is for Alexandra. The quality of a proposed solution for challenge 1 could be validated during a demonstration if a partner is willing to make a data set available with the solution demonstrating benefit quantitatively. Sorry, my pronunciation. Could one be made available?
I think that will have to come from the relationship with the partner. I think that's up to the partner, but during the trial, I think that's definitely going to happen. But I can also expand on that on an email. I think have to go back to this one.
Good.
We don't have any data sets. We don't have any data sets to give for any of the trials. So it would really have to be something that we discuss with the industry partners. So if there's a requirement of data for you to do the trial to prove anything as a part of the trial, I'd say explicitly mention it in the application. And we would, if we're matching you with a partner, it's something that would have to be discussed with the partner and they would have to commit to making that data set available. If you're bringing your own partner and if they've got data sets, then obviously by all means include that in the application. But as CPC, we don't have data sets and it would have to be a collaboration with the industry partner we match you with, or you get matched during the program.
Great, thank you, Kritika. The next question is, do we need to have a ready-to-go project that meets the criteria of the fund, or will the program help develop a project that tackles the challenges within the sector? So it's the first one. Basically, you need to have a solution that is ready and that have been tested in an operational environment that is a TRL 5. But if you are a TRL lower, you could also apply to another program that we have with DFT, that is TRIC, Transport Research Innovation Grants. So they support SMEs that are in a lower TRL, and actually the ideal journey of the program will be like SMEs applying to TRIC and then applying to the Freight Innovation Fund to test the solution that they develop in the TRIC program. The next question is, if you have a relationship with one of the industry partners already and would like to work with them, should we reach out to them, or is it better for you to get in touch? Yeah, you have to reach out to them. You need to prepare the trial proposal with them, and actually we ask for some evidence about this. So maybe it could be an email of the partner saying like, yeah, we're happy to work with this SME and be part of the program. So yeah, you have to reach out to this organization. Does participation of the Catapult initiative exclude us from applying for this funding opportunity? No, you can apply even though you were part of another program or another accelerator. We have a question about it. What we want to understand is what you are going to do different in this program and how this actually going to help your company. Okay, please explain or provide a link to the requirements to achieve the minimal financial assistance. Thank you. I think maybe Alistair can help me with this one, but what I mentioned on the funding section is that since this program is not going to be managed with grants, you don't need to meet the minimal financial assistance. But Alistair, if you would like to add something.
Yes, so we have in the previous 2 accelerator rounds operated them under grant funding rules. Now, grant funding rules have a ceiling. It's around £315,000 of grants that you can receive within any 3-year financial period. Obviously, this causes a number of difficulties for people. So we're operating a different kind of system this time, which is called pre-commercial procurement. Ultimately, it still means you get the money, but it operates slightly differently, and therefore minimum financial assistance limits do not apply. The limit is that you can have around about £200,000 within any one block, but it is a commercial arrangement rather than a grant funding arrangement, and therefore it's a slightly different set of rules. I don't propose that I go into a great deal of detail about this in this webinar, but what we'll probably try and do is we'll try and produce a short explanation of what pre-commercial procurement means and put it out with the detail of this webinar so that you can review it and ask questions as you need to.
Great, thank you, Alistair. If we have ideas regarding CPC partners who we think might be a good fit for partnership, how do we get access to contact there to discuss? We want to position and get their approval and agreement. Unfortunately, we are not able to connect the SMEs with the partners at this stage because as you could understand, we can have around 100 SMEs reaching out to us. So it's not possible at this stage, but that's why we created the partners profiles because you can find more information about them to try to customize your application form. But then during the selection process, if you are shortlisted, we try to manage that matchmaking between the partners and the SMEs. So partners are aware that the trial proposal is going to be broad, not that specific, but the idea is to actually see the details when you are in the interviews. And if it is necessary to set up like an extra meeting with a partner besides the interviews, we can do that during the commercial interviews stage. So I hope that answered your question. The next question is, if we had been already part of one of the previous cohort, does that reduce the chance of being considered for the upcoming cohort, even though we qualify tackling the given challenges? Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, we would like to have different SMEs in each of our cohorts. So yeah, probably it's going to reduce the chance, but it doesn't mean that you can't apply. Like at the end, it will depend on the quality of the applications that we receive and if they meet the criteria and challenges of the program.
I think maybe just to add a little bit on that one, I think we wouldn't want to fund the same idea twice. However, if you have something that's completely different, then actually that would be a new innovation. And what we're partly about Freight Innovation Fund is driving new innovations into the freight sector. So it's a completely new idea, perhaps with a new partner, then I think that's very valid for consideration, but we wouldn't want to fund again the same proposition because we're trying to move you forward into the market.
Yeah, thank you for adding that, Alistair. I think we are running out of time, so I'm going to read the last question, and then what I'm going to do is I'll try to answer the rest of the questions, yeah, I can send that to your emails if we have the name, your names in the questions if it is not anonymous. So the next question is the SME's IP protected via NDA or other agreement contract with the partner if those are not brought by SME? So we signed a memorandum of understanding with the partners to try to protect all the data and everything that is shared during the program. But we also recommend the partners and the SMEs to sign an NDA once they start the trial, just to make sure that everything is protected. But yeah, we try to do that through the MOU that we have with the partners and the contracts that we sign with the SMEs. In both of them, we have a clause for IP and protection of data. So, well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining to the webinar today. Again, we will be sharing this video and the slides with you, and we are going to try to get the rest of the questions and answer to them and get back to you. So thank you again for your time. Bye.